Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the January 2023 Planning Commission meeting. I guess we'll start by taking roll. Bill Komsky. James Rath.
Here.
Suzanne Spellin.
Here.
Sarah Wingert.
Here.
Anthony Moen, I'm here, and our chair, Roddy Yagan, is absent tonight. Unfortunately, could not attend tonight's meeting. So as our first order of business, we are going to take nominations for and a vote on a vice chair for the committee. And I would put myself forth for the nomination.
Second.
All right, going to a vote. All those in favor, Bill Komsky, James Rath,
Yes.
Suzanne Spellin,
Yes.
Sarah Wingert,
Yes.
and Anthony Moen. I vote yes. So I don't know if we have to redo that when we have the chair, or we do. Okay, so we'll revisit that question at next month's commission meeting when hopefully Roddy will be present. But for tonight's purposes, as acting vice chair, I'll also be acting chair, and I'll work us through tonight's agenda. All right, so first item on the agenda, we have one item on our consent agenda, PLPC 2023-0001. This is 201 Broadway. I don't know if we have the applicant present here. Normally, when we do the consent agenda, we vote on all the items as one. There's only one item, so it's kind of a moot point. I'll first see, did anybody from the public come to comment on this application? Did any of the commissioners have any comments on the application?
There were just the staff comments that I think we should clarify on what we need to consider there.
Sure.
The main staff comment was that there was a stop work order placed on the project or on the property, and that no permit would be issued. As far as I would understand, maybe Andy, you can clear this up for us, but that wouldn't impact anything that we're talking about tonight, correct?
No, if the building department has adopted the policies, I understand it, that they won't issue building permits for a building where there's a stop work order on any portion of the property. Your approving of a site plan or a change of use wouldn't impact that, except for the fact that, as you know, there's a 6-month window to obtain permits before your approval lapses. So there is the possibility that if they don't resolve the stop work order, they won't get their building permit within the 6 months, and they'll be back seeking an extension. But you do have the ability to act despite the building department's policy.
Does anybody else have any concerns or comments on the project?
I have none.
I'll make a motion that we approve the project.
All right, we have a motion and we have a second. Okay, going to a vote.
Yes.
James, Suzanne,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Motion passes 5-0, so that application is approved. So I don't know if the applicant was present here or on Zoom, but if you are, that's it for your item on the agenda. There's no need for you to stick around.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll move on to next section of our agenda, old business. We've got only 2 items on the agenda. First is PLPC 2022-0108. That's 391 3rd Street. And I do see we have the applicant present. Yeah.
Hi, Liz Rodriguez with TAP, helping Waleed get through the process. I don't know if you received the site plan that we submitted. In the photographic depictions of the site plan, I was not circling a large enough area Once we got down to actually drawing a site plan, we see the site is bigger, it extends out into the sidewalk area, and the side yard to the south is part of this property. It's enclosed with a fence and there is a gate there. The tenant's garbage is currently kept in that area, and that is where Waleed plans to keep the garbage for the commercial business. And he'll address more what the plan is for that garbage. I drew a ramp on the sidewalk because it's possible we may have to put a ramp on the sidewalk. First item when you're doing a renovation is access to the building. The step is about 4 to 6 inches above the sidewalk. It wouldn't need any railings. It would just be a stoop and a sloped walkway. And we'll work that out with the building department as whether or not we need to provide that. He's not actually making any changes within the space. I think that triggers the budget for the walkway, but we'll work that out with code. Let's see. I think that's it. We'll let Waleed talk about the issue that came up last time was mainly garbage, I think.
Do you have copies for us, Lizzie? or-
I have a few with me. You can have them.
There's one more.
Yeah, belong to him.
All right, just 1 second. Thank you.
Sure. Whereas, so it does belong to him, the building, the fence yard, and that's what they put the garbage, and it's already all set fence. All I'm gonna do is just bring my garbage in and wheel them weekly. Yeah, I spoke to Waste County Waste, and they will do it, but somebody told me that when bridges are cheaper, so I will see which one I will go with, but definitely I'll pick one of them. Sure.
Did any other commissioners have any additional questions or comments?
I think the ramp is a important improvement. I understand what was being said about it being triggered by, the amount of changes that are being made inside, but I think overall it'd be a
Sure.
nice thing to improve access. But otherwise, I think they've addressed the concern of
Yeah, so there's no formal process to getting a city serviced trash bin on the sidewalk like there are in downtown. It's a case by case basis. So if that was something that you were interested in, and I believe in my meeting with the administration, we did kind of petition an extra look at that particular corner. There's a bump out on that corner, so it does make some sense to have something there. So we'll hear back from them once we get a response from DP, the Department of Sanitation. But yeah, there's no formal process, unfortunately. There's been a lot of problems in the past, so it's a case by case basis.
So we can't place a requirement on the applicant. But we also can't guarantee that the city can provide a waste basket or a garbage can. So that basically puts the community, the burden on the community to keep that clean while you being part of the community, right?
Correct.
Okay, just want to be blunt about it.
Yes. If there, if trash becomes a concern, then like I said, you have a bump out on that particular corner. And it is getting reviewed. I mean, I think that there's a strong chance that we could see a trash bin placed there. But then, yeah, the trash issue does fall to the applicant to make sure that the area is kept up.
And just to clarify, this is a public waste bin for anybody walking by. It's not, just so everybody's on the same page of what
Correct.
we're discussing. Not a substitute or supplement for the trash that might be at this business. The other two things that we didn't really discuss last time that we should discuss when these things are coming through, especially considering the neighbors' comments, are just lighting and signage. So do you have any, can you describe the lighting that's?
The green and the red, not those white, like, like a sandwich tea outside, it's small.
Uh-huh.
It's not gonna be bright.
What about like an exterior light that you would see?
On that side.
No, just,
Like,
yeah.
I'm gonna put some light outside, like the whole, that corner.
Okay.
Dark skylighting.
Okay, we would call for dark sky lighting that won't add to light pollution and would not direct it towards the existing housing to the south of the property. Be mainly to light the sidewalk in front of the business.
Would you say at least one light on Third and at least one light on Monroe? Or, yeah, Monroe?
Yeah.
Okay, great. That sounds good to me.
Agreed.
All right, unless there are any more commissioner comments, I was going to see if we have any additional comments from the public. I know that some of the community members might have returned. So I'm just going to ask that everybody state their name and address for the record. Limit your comments to no more than 2 minutes. And I know we had some comments last month, so please just try not to repeat, the same concerns as last month. With that said, I'll open it up to the public.
Okay, my name is Chuck Conroy. I reside at 405 Third Street. I'll be one of the ones picking up the litter that descends down the street. I want to thank the Waleed and the prospective business owner for a lot of the conversations and concessions and considerations, I guess would probably be a more appropriate term, that he's talked about over the past month. I would like to just try to find out from you, the commissioners, and from the planning commissioner, for any of the associated staff. I tend to be a rather untrusting person. And in the event that some of the considerations and the concessions that have been agreed to or kind of talked about aren't followed, and we suddenly have an alcohol, tobacco, and some of the criteria which was set forth specifically in the agreement that we're making, actually says no tobacco, no alcohol, and no lotto. In the event that the facility does begin doing that, what recourse do we as neighbors have, and what authority do you as the planning commission have to take action?
I would answer that with that. It wouldn't be the planning commission, but it would be the city responsibility and the building department. So we'll have those specific items listed in there. And if they're violated, this certificate of occupancy can be revoked.
So it would be incumbent upon the city to act.
Yes.
Yeah. In addition, I would point out that if right now there's, as I understand it, no alcohol sales as part of this application, that would be governed by the state liquor authority, which is an entirely separate, review process. It does have an opportunity for community comment, I believe. So, if they were going to make that application at a future point, you could certainly weigh in on that application.
If we know about it.
I believe there's a public notice requirement.
I don't know if there's public notice. I know it comes to the city and we review it. Yeah. trying to think of a good way to make sure that that's.
Well, if this board includes in any approval condition that there be no alcohol sales, then they would need to return to this board and have another public hearing to have that condition removed. My understanding of the SLA, State Liquor Authority's process is one of the things you have to confirm to them as an applicant is that you are in compliance with all local codes and regulations. So if this board places a condition of no alcohol sales, their first step would have to be come back here before they could even go to the SLA.
Okay.
And to follow up on what Commissioner Strikeman had said, yes, code enforcement through the building department would be the appropriate enforcement agency, but they can't be everywhere all the time. So to answer your question directly, what can you do if you do see some type of violation of any conditions or requirements of this board is contact the code enforcement officer right away, because they may not see it. So the neighborhood, you are in the best position to identify any concerns that have taken place and report them.
Okay, thank you for that. Again, I do want to say that I appreciate the prospective business owners' effort to try and accommodate us. I hope to frequent this facility for good sandwiches, and I wish them all the best. And I hope that you don't see me again. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other members of the public here in person or on Zoom who would like to comment? Okay, well, in that case, I think we have enough information to act on the application.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the application and site plan with the condition that no sale of alcohol, tobacco, or lotto will be present in the
Could-
facility.
Could, if I may suggest,
Yeah.
just lottery, because that covers more than
All
just
lottery.
all lottery, just
Yes.
alcohol,
Yeah.
tobacco, or lottery, covers
Yes,
everything.
the condition shall prohibit the sale of alcohol, tobacco, and lottery.
I'll second that.
All right, going to a vote. Bill? James?
Yes.
Suzanne?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
And I vote yes. The motion carries 5-0. The application is approved for the change of use in the site plan. Thank you very much.
It might, I would go test it. Do a test.
Test.
Hold it about.
You can't hear me. Okay.
All right, so our final item of new business on tonight's agenda, or old business rather, is PLPC 2022-78. This is the atrium project. Do we have the applicant present?
Zone C, we're not in. Not in shading.
Ready?
Yep.
Good evening. My name is Brian Osterhout with Environmental Design Partnership. I'm here with Ken Syverson from Syverson Raguso Architects. And we're just here as a continuation of last month. I know there were some questions last month. The applicant and Ken went to City Council to talk about the project. There was some correspondence back and forth with that. And there was city administration, sorry. And then there was a request to reach out to Chris Whelan, which we had done at the initial stages of the project, but formally provided him some additional information, which we got a willingness to serve letter yesterday, I believe. I don't know if you want to talk about any of the meeting with the city administration, but anyways, we're here to answer any other additional questions that you might have.
It was noted in the staff report that there are no changes from last month. Is that correct?
Correct.
And if you recall, last month, I articulated a concern about there being gaps in the information that you would need as the lead agency under State Environmental Quality Review Act to act on seeker. Since then, there has been a will serve letter provided by the Department of Utilities for water and sewer, available water and sewer capacity. And there has also been correspondence from the applicant addressing how the atrium wall issue is to be addressed as they move forward in the abatement and demolition and then construction process. And that letter, I'm sure you've read it, includes the fact that all their plans are going to be stamped by their architect or even their structural engineering firm, which they retained, that's set forth in the letter. So based upon those two correspondences, the concerns I have about the missing information to prevent you from making a secret determination has been resolved. I think you do have sufficient information in front of you to make that determination. And I think you can make that determination this evening.
And based on that, I've provided you with a draft part 2 and part 3. I would like to make a change to the first question on the part 2 impact on land. Yes, it basically it says land impact on land proposed action may involve construction on or physical alteration of. So yes, there is construction on the land where a building already exists. So you would change that from no to yes. And however, all the questions A through G would still be no or small impact. Really, nothing's going to change. I had spoken with Commissioner Komisky about number 5, impact on flooding, but that is still a no. It is not in the 100-year or 500-year floodplain. So based on that, basically you have enough here, I believe, to make the part 2 and the part 3 is completed, that it's an, it's a type 1 action and that it won't result in significant adverse impacts on the environment. Also, so this is scheduled to be on a city council planning committee meeting next Thursday to discuss. So that's where we want to get this to. So they will obviously be requiring further review, especially of the structural engineering when that's provided to us.
So does that mean that we could make, given that it's a type 1 action, we could make a negative declaration based on the seeker parts 2 and 3 that you prepared?
That's correct. Staff has proposed a part 2 already filled out so that you as the board don't have to go through it question by question like we have some in the past sometimes. So they've submitted a proposed part 2 and they have not identified anything beyond a small to moderate impact. If you agree with their draft analysis, then you are in a position to enact a negative declaration.
We have already declared intent to act as lead agency. That period has passed. There were no comments.
So I have a question, Andy. When we met last month, you expressed pretty strong views that we needed to have an engineer's examination and report before we could vote in the record. And what I'm hearing here, instead of that, we're going to have, is it a condition that their engineer will provide a stamped engineering report that will go to the city and the city planning or engineering or city codes, whoever it is, and that will be adequate?
Yes, my concern last month was that there was no analysis in front of you to review related to how the building and detaching from the building and the wall itself was even going to be addressed. And then one of the ways to address that is by an engineer's report that says this is exactly what we're going to do when we engage in that process. The applicant didn't submit that particular engineer's report. Instead, what they submitted is the list of actions that will take place prior to that activity occurring on the property. And one of the things that they are stating will take place is that all of the plans related to that process will be stamped by either their licensed architect or their professional structural engineering firm. So in my mind, that addresses the concern that you can now say there isn't a potential for a large environmental impact, because before that process takes place, those professionals that know what to do will present plans that will ameliorate any potential environmental impacts. We didn't have that last month. There was a blank space on what was going to happen. Now we have the applicant saying, before we engage in that process, these are the steps we're going to take. Those steps include engineered reports and stamped plans from their professionals before, to be reviewed by the building department before any permits or any activity occurs.
So we don't need to see them. We can just say you need to send them to people who know what they're doing and they're going to improve it. And I hate to boil it down into terms that our planning commission will need to.
Correct. So ultimately what your question is, do we need to see those stamped plans by the structural engineer, or can we make a secret determination based upon a representation that that process will occur? And you can make a secret determination based upon the fact that that process, you have now been told that that is the process that's going to occur.
Everybody can have a copy. Thanks.
And if you guys want to weigh in, that's my interpretation of the letter from Bryce Companies, but anything that's submitted is either going to be stamped by you or the structural engineer.
And so, just to put a nail in this, this letter is part of the record. It's part of your application. So we don't necessarily need to refer to it as a condition. Correct?
Correct.
Okay.
It is an offer by the applicant, where they are proposing this. To a certain extent, it's proposed mitigation for secret purposes. That if there was a concern about potential secret impacts as a result of this process, here are the things we're going to do to mitigate that concern. And so if these things don't take place, then they wouldn't be entitled to pull any permits from the building department, because all these things are tied to submissions to the building department.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions from the commissioners? I don't actually recall. Did we close the public hearing on this one, or are we still technically open? I don't think we ever closed it.
Yeah, there was public comment. I know Barb Nelson.
Right,
commented.
last one, yeah. So is anybody here from the public to comment this evening? All right. Well, unless anybody has any further questions for the applicant, I think we have information that's sufficient to make a secret determination tonight. So does anybody want to make a motion?
I'm happy to make a motion that we issue a negative declaration as it pertains to seeker.
Second, in
All right, going to a vote. Bill Komisky,
favor.
James Rath,
Yes.
Suzanne Spellin,
Yes.
Sarah Wingert,
Yes.
and I vote yes. The motion carries 5-0. So we've made a negative declaration for seeker purposes, and then we still have the matter of whether we have enough information to approve the site plan. Did anybody have any further questions regarding that? The submissions have not changed since last month, so it's the same that we reviewed at last month's meeting.
No further questions or comments.
All right, in that case, I move we approve the site plan.
If I may, staff had recommended a condition that the site plan approval shall not be effective until the applicant obtains all necessary approvals from the city council.
Of course, yeah. So as is clear from the record, this is on the city council agenda, and given the fact that this property abuts city property and will have to be disentangled from a city structure, the city council will ultimately have the final say on all of that. But as far as the site plan that was presented to us, subject to that condition, I move that we approve the site plan subject to city council approval. Is that sufficient for?
How do I say? Site plan approval shall not be effective until all necessary city council approvals are obtained.
Okay,
That way, we're not getting in the business of saying what they need from the city council. We'll leave that to the city council and the corporation council's office.
okay, so moved. Do we have a second? All right, going to a vote. Bill Komisky, James Rath,
Yes.
Suzanne Spellin, Sarah Wenger,
Yes.
and I vote yes. So the site plan is approved, subject, effective only on obtaining all approvals required from the city council.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it. I know we had a lot of back and forth, but I think they were all good comments and, I think they'll make for a better project.
Yeah.
So
No,
thanks
thank
for all
you.
your time and effort.
All right.
So with Chris here, I'm probably gonna get my planning commission proposals.
So 36 minutes, that might be a record.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
I'll
Did
second.
we ever approve the minutes from last?
Oh, no, we didn't. I'm sorry, you're right. With all the vice chair business, I forgot that. So before we close for the evening, we'll take a motion to approve the December 2022 minutes. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So motion carries 5-0, and then I move we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.
Oh, we talked about last month and you weren't here.